Hello everyone and welcome. Today we're going to be talking about the best way that you can budget your money. The best way you can budget your money is by assigning every dollar a job. Now that phrase comes from a budgeting tool that I use called YNAB. It's YNAB. It stands for You Need a Budget. It's very helpful for me. There's many other budgeting tools out there such as Dave Ramsey's Every Dollar. I'm not sponsored by any of these. It's just a tool that I've used for my budgeting needs. So what does it mean to give every dollar a job? Imagine with me that you walk in the door one day and you have an envelope full of cash. That's your paycheck. It's all in cash right there in your envelope. And then you look on the counter and you have a bunch of envelopes laid out, and they're all the different budget items that you have. You have rent, you have your car bill, you have insurance. Everything is laid out from the first of the month to the end of the month. And what you do is you take the cash and you start putting it in each envelope, starting with the first bills that are coming due to the last, and you want to put all the money into each of the envelopes until you run out of money. Now hopefully that will get you through enough to at least get you to the next paycheck, hopefully more, or hopefully longer. That is taking every dollar that you have and assigning it to a job. You've put it into each of those categories. Now you may log into your checking account and you see some random number in there, but you don't really know, what does that mean? Does that mean I can go out to eat tomorrow night? Does that mean I'm gonna have my bills paid for the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks? What does that number really mean? By taking each of your dollars and assigning them a job, you now know where those dollars are going and what they're being used for. What would it look like if you didn't do this? This is actually pretty common. Most people just get paid, the money lands in their checking account, and then upcoming bills get paid out of their checking account, and that's all there is to it. And you know, if you have a large number in your checking account, you must be good, you must be covered through the next week or so, but you don't really know how much do you have. What if you wanted to go buy a laptop? What if you just wanted to go out to eat? Do you really have that money in there for those expenses? It's really hard to determine. So taking this concept of the envelopes, you have your paycheck and you have all the categories and you're putting the money into each of the categories and you're giving every dollar you have a job. What does that look like in real life? Well, we can break it down into 3 steps. 1, you have your bank account. You know what's in your checking account and you know likely what you're going to be paid in your next paycheck, so you have that situated. That's number 1. Number 2 is your budget. Again, I use YNAB, but there's many other budgeting tools out there. So in YNAB, for me, I set up those envelopes. I set up all my different categories, all my budgeting items that I have to pay for each month. So you may have your fixed expenses. Those are ones that don't change month to month, such as, say, your car payment or your rent. Those are pretty consistent every month. Then you could have your variable expenses, ones that may change from month to month, like your water bill. Your water usage may vary depending on the month, so that could change. And then there's other expenses, ones that maybe you didn't consider everything, so you have a category just to cover unexpected costs. Whatever it is, you have all your budgeting items laid out, which should account for every dollar in your checking account. And what's helpful in YNAB is it shows you if you have $1,500 in your checking account, you should have $1,500 mapped to those different categories. If you've only mapped maybe $1,000 to your budget, it's going to tell you you still have $500 that you still need to budget for. Because you know, if the money is just sitting there, it's going to burn a hole in your pocket and you're going to end up spending it. So you need to assign it to a job so you don't end up spending it elsewhere. So you have your bank, you have your budget, your envelopes, or whatever tool you use, and then the third component are the transactions. As you go throughout the month, all of those budget items will get paid for at some point in time. And when they do, you log the transaction. So say you have rent being paid for, you go into your budgeting tool and you mark that rent was paid for, and you recognize, okay, I still have this many dollars in these bills that are still coming. And you go into your checking account and you recognize that, hey, a good chunk of money just got taken out for rent, but I know because I've budgeted everything that I'm covered at least until the next paycheck. So in real life, you have your checking account and then you have your budgeting tool that accounts for all those different envelopes and all those different categories. And then as life happens and as those transactions are taking place, you're logging them in the tool. That way it recognizes, hey, you assigned $1,000 to rent, rent was just paid, and you see that rent, $1,000 comes out of your checking account. Now, what's helpful in some of the tools that are offered is, for me, I use the app. So if I'm getting $50 worth of gas, I just open up the app, I add a transaction, and right there at the pump, I can say $50 towards gas. So if I've budgeted $50 towards gas, it recognizes that I've used that budgeted amount, and now $50 is subtracted from my checking account. But everything balances out between what I have budgeted and what's actually sitting in my account. Now, this might seem pretty straightforward and so simple that you think, why do I even need to do this? You all, obviously, if you know you have rent coming and you pay rent, it's going to come out of your account. It's pretty straightforward. Why take all the time to budget? Well, the biggest challenge is that life consists of tons of micro transactions. There's transactions happening when you sleep. There's transactions happening when you go through a toll booth. Whatever you're doing in life, transactions are happening. And that's where it can be really challenging to keep up with. And that's why a lot of people don't actively budget, is because there's so many transactions happening on a day-to-day basis. It's just easy to step back and think, I've got enough money in my checking account. I know bills are coming. I've got it covered. But you don't truly know what you have. By going through and taking what's in your checking account and allocating it to the different items and then logging those transactions as they happen, that gives you the insight and the visibility into exactly what you have in your checking account. And hey, if you want to spend $50 at dinner, you know that you have it. Or you know, hey, I don't have that. If I spend $50 towards dinner, I'm not going to have that $50 for gas next week because I already spent it on dinner. And that's why assigning every dollar a job is so impactful on your budget. You have clear visibility into what's happening, and you can make confident decisions with your money. So what are the challenges to this whole process? And these are challenges just in general. These are challenges that I faced specifically, but one is a learning curve. There's a technical learning curve to the actual tool that you're using, and then there's a learning curve of you being a person, and change can be hard. And recognizing that, hey, I need to proactively set up my budget, and then I need to make sure I'm logging those transactions, and just me adjusting my lifestyle to that, that can be a challenge, and it definitely was. Part of the learning curve challenge that my wife and I faced was just not really adapting really well to the tool, and two, the lifestyle. And actually we gave up on it. We used it for 3 or 4 months, maybe 5 months, and then we just didn't seem to be getting the hang of things, and we're like, you know what, it's probably just not worth it. We can't figure this out. 6 months later, we realized, hey, we have no idea what's happening with our money. Yes, we can pull up our checking account, and yes, I have spreadsheets on what's happening with what's happening with my money, but that is so much harder to piece together in real time how much money you really have to spend. And we were drawn right back to using YNAB, and now that I've gotten the hang of it, I see the value, and I think it's an amazing tool to use. Not specifically YNAB, but just making sure you're giving every dollar a job rather than just letting your checking account run itself and you not knowing what's really happening. But let me tell you, at this point, I've been doing it maybe about a year now, and it has had a tremendous impact on how I view our finances. It has given me a complete peace of mind and confidence in making decisions. And whenever my wife or anyone says, hey, this bill came due, it may seem unexpected, but I always know, yep, I accounted for that. I knew it was coming. I budgeted dollars towards that, so we're all set. No need to worry. The second challenge I would say is maintaining consistency. It's easy to get started and be excited, but once you're month 3, 4, or 5 in, it can be a little bit challenging maintaining the budgeting every month and then the assigning every transaction, making sure you're logging everything. Now, there's ways to go about this in a better way. Once you've set up a monthly budget, you can just copy that month to month and make minor adjustments as you need. That's fine. You can also actually link your bank account. So I have my checking account, I can have my budget, and I can actually have them directly linked. So that way, when I make a purchase and it comes out of my checking account and it recognizes, hey, you just got gas, my checking account recognizes gas, YNAB recognizes, hey, that should probably come out of your gas fund, and it automatically pulls it. Personally, I do it manually because the bank account doesn't connect that well. I have a smaller bank, but for many people, this works really well when it's connected together and it just now automatically starts logging those transactions, not only in the checking account, but also in the app as well. So what do you actually gain by this? One, I would say definitely peace of mind. And two is confidence in your decision-making process. You know real time the dollars you have to spend or not to spend. And if you overspend in this category, but you've budgeted 3 weeks out in another, you can draw from that category and put it into the one you've overspent on. And in the meantime, you have the confidence to know what's actually happening in your bank account. Now, a few ways that I have found this to be incredibly helpful was I could map out my budget for the next 2 weeks and I had some left over. I could put that into an emergency fund. If you follow Dave Ramsey at all, you know the baby steps, and the first one is create your emergency fund. So if I have extra, I can assign it to an emergency fund. Or if I have extra, I can put it on debt. And I got a pay raise and I took that extra amount and I put that on debt because I knew, okay, this is how much I need every week. If I map out to the next paycheck, I can still live paycheck to paycheck, but I'm throwing an enormous amount of money on debt now because I know exactly how much I have to put towards debt. And even though I'm throwing a significant portion of my income onto debt, it's not affecting my bills in any way because I have it all mapped out properly. So this has been an incredible journey for me to really rein in how I manage my money to make the biggest impact for me and my family. We have financial goals. We want to become debt-free. We want to save for a house. We want to invest. And knowing exactly where your dollars are and what jobs they're assigned to and having that clarity is critical in your financial success. I have many other videos out there such as saving money on a phone plan. I personally sold a BMW to drive an old Honda. That saved me a lot of money. I do a lot of different things to save me money, and those are all great things, but those are all on the side. Those are buttons and levers that I'm pushing and pulling on to save me money, but centrally I need to make sure that my budget is sound, or else if I'm saving 50% of my phone plan, what am I really saving if I don't even know what's happening in my checking account? By me knowing everything that's happening, it makes that impact of what I'm saving even greater because I'm taking that amount and I'm actually putting it towards something I want to, such as saving or putting it towards debt or putting it into an emergency fund. Whatever the case is in your scenario, you can really control what you're spending to have the greatest impact on your financial future. So I hope that this video has been helpful for you in identifying how you can best manage your own budget to make the biggest impact with your finances. If you would like, YNAB offers, I believe it's a 34-day free trial. You can go ahead and sign up, sync your bank account, create your budget, start logging transactions, see how it works for you. I will tell you there is a learning curve. Again, I stepped away from the tool for a while and then recognized that I probably should jump back in, and I did so. So I will give you a heads up to that learning curve, but it is very valuable once you get into it. Once you've been using it for a while, you really have that peace of mind and that confidence with your finances. So thank you for watching. I ask that if you enjoyed this video, that you please like and subscribe.